Hi there. Hi, it's Emmanuel once again. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I want to give a special thank you to everyone who's watched the Easter journey and joined me over that week of releasing artwork every day or related to the Easter story. I want to thank my church family. I want to thank my wife. Tolu, thank you so much, sweetheart, for sharing it with your friends. I mean, we grew from about 12 subscribers to 112 in a matter of days. I'm so amazed and excited to share so much with you. And it wouldn't be possible without the Lord and you guys for all joining me. Thank you so much for joining me on this creative adventure. My name is Emmanuel. Obviously, it's right there in the channel name. I do many things, but at heart, I'm a creative. I love drawing. I love creating stories. I've been drawing since I was a child, and by God's grace, released a number of books and more stories in the works. I loved doing the creative channel challenge of the Easter journey. It helped me to exercise my creativity. But in creating this thing in these times, one of the questions that bothered my mind is, with the rise of AI, GPTs, and text-to-image services, where is the future like for artists? Are artists going to become extinct? Like the dinosaurs? Or the dodo? Ah! Anyways, I love using AI to play around. I understand. I actually also have those concerns of what if AI takes over the world one day, like in Terminator or in the Mitchells versus the Machines, or I mean, there are like not billions, many movies telling us why this is a bad idea of experimenting with AI, and I really think that some more ethical frameworks should be put in place to safeguard us from Skynet. Just as stood by the side. So the question is, with AI, anyone can create these pictures, right? So who needs artists? Who needs art? I believe that AI has its place, and I believe that art has its place. But can they be combined? Does the presence of AI take away the work of the artist? Well, that's what today's video is about. So welcome to Emmanuel versus AI. Dun dun! Alright, so I'm going to take each of the concepts and images I created during the Easter journey and see how AI, or in this space, ChatGPT, would actually create such an image. To be a fun journey, I'm sure you'll have a great one, and you don't want to miss the last picture, I assure you. When I showed my wife yesterday, it cracked her up. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with the Easter journey with AI and comparing that with what we did before. Enjoy. So the first picture in the Easter journey was the Palm Sunday image of Jesus riding to Jerusalem. And I shared the story of how I made it. You can check it out at the link. So I prompted ChatGPT. I asked it, kindly help create an illustration depicting Jesus. I wonder, why did I start my prompt with kindly? I don't know, I think politeness is cool. I just love being polite. So I go, kindly help create an illustration depicting Jesus riding to Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, surrounded by crowds waving palm branches on a sunny day. The image can be a wide-angle landscape view, warmly lit. And look at what it gave us. Ta-da! Alright, I like this picture because the crowds look fun. I think this image is quite cool. But you know something I noticed in the picture? It took the fact that I mentioned Jerusalem in its modern context, in which we have the Dome of the Rock over there in the top right corner. And the Dome of the Rock wasn't on the Temple Mount in 1st century Judea. I doubt that there were domes on the temple in those days. But so I asked it again, can we modify the image to reflect 1st century Jerusalem? And look at what it did. Ta-da! Well, I'll give it some props. It tried to show the walls of Jerusalem as they could have been in 1st century Jerusalem. But the Dome of the Rock is still there. You win some, you lose some. But that's the thing about AI. It's bases its understanding based on what it's fed and what it does know. Its context of Jerusalem is probably defined by the current context of Jerusalem. I think the image that it gave us is quite interesting. As an artist who is looking at how things work, the pictures, how they're holding the palm branches, and is framed based on perspective and probably not based on how they are waving them or how the wind is blowing. But hey, maybe I'm just a critic on this because it's AI. What do you think? Is it better than the one I did? Yeah, I know they won. I know. Yeah, it's quite cool sometimes. So, time for the next one. So I asked, create an illustration of a scene. This for the second image, remind you, the door. A scene from the Bible book of Exodus. The back view of a Hebrew male in tattered clothing holding a bush of hyssop and using it to paint the lintel and doorposts of his house with blood. Above the house, let dark clouds be approaching us, creating a foreboding atmosphere. If you've watched the door, you remember that these were some of the things I put in mind when I was creating the image. And let's look at what AI provided for us. Hallelujah! Wow, this is actually quite cool. It reminds me of the illustrations in my Bible storybooks when I was younger. I like the image. It actually comes cool, except that the house is not so big, which actually works. They were slaves. Those days they probably didn't build big houses. It looks like the clouds are coming out of the house, like it could be smoke coming out of the house. But people wouldn't really think about that generally. It carries the image. It gives the perspective of what it's supposed to give. Yeah, I give this a 10 out of 10. It's quite cool. They tried. All right, time for image 3. The third image was the image of the scapegoat. Now, the scapegoat was, I think, the image I got the most reactions from, where everyone was talking about how dejected and sad and scared the goat looked, the emotion of the goat. So let's look at what AI is going to give us for the scapegoat. I said, awesome, in response to the last image. Thank you. Kindly create an illustration depicting the scapegoat from the Torah. The Torah is the first 5 books of our Old Testament. In the foreground, let's have the goat sauntering into the wilderness, looking dejected at the right end of the picture, with a vast space behind it to the left, under reddish skies. In the background, let's have a faint image of the Israelite high priest laying his hands upon the head of the goat, depicting the backstory of how the goat got to be in the desert in the first place. This was pretty complicated, I'll admit. I mean, if I was communicating this to someone else to create, I'm not sure if they would have gotten it well. But let's see what ChatGPT is going to give us in 5, 4, 3. Oops, oh, here it is. Wow, I have to admit, this goat even has more emotion than mine did. But look, isn't it really cool? I mean, check it. It lets you see how the priest laid his hands on the goat sometime in the past, unless it's a ghost or a phantom following the goat. But for me, I think it captures the picture of indignation, of judgment being bestowed on the goat. And it's a picture of how God also imposed a rightful judgment on Christ Jesus, who became our scapegoat for our salvation. Thank you, Father, for carrying my sins away. And it got the imagery of the Jewish high priest. I mean, see the 12 stones on his breastplate, like the high priest in the Old Testament. I think this is really cool. I love this one. I love this. Time for the 4th image, and this was about the brazen serpent, or the bronze serpent, or the fiery serpent, depending on which version you're using, but they all refer to the same thing, a sculpted serpent. And we talked about that in the video Look and Live. So I prompted, please make an illustration of the moment from the Torah when Moses raised up a staff with a bronze sculpted serpent on it. He's surrounded by a crowd of Israelites on the ground looking up to the serpent for their healing from snake bites. They're in a wilderness on a sunny day. So I think this is a little simpler than the image of the scapegoat. Let's see what AI comes up with. Ta-da! Okay, so we still followed the same art style it used in the previous image, and I think it gives the image of how it could have looked when Moses put the snake on the staff. Although if you look hard enough, you'll begin to see some inconsistencies. I mean, look where the staff he's holding. It gets buried in the crowd in the distance. And then the man closest to us, he's looking backwards. I mean, that's got to hurt his neck, wouldn't it? That's one of the limitations of AI imagery. I mean, they can be awesome, and I love how they come out, right? But there's some technicalities of reality that they may not capture as well as a human probably would. So it's time for the next image, which was from the Last Supper. Broken. So I prompted, make an image shot of the Last Supper. Let it be a POV, that's point of view, from Jesus' point of view. Tautology much. We see his hands breaking the bread, but just past them on the table is a cup of wine. Along the table, on both sides and opposite our view, the 12 disciples are seated. The room is dimly lit by candlelight from a menorah on the center of the table. We talked about this in the video Broken, and here's the image that we got from AI. Boom. Now, isn't it quite cool? I mean, it makes some of the disciples older, but hey, I think it works for the image. It's a little similar to what I made in perspective, and I think it's a little closer, except we have 11 apostles instead of 12. But hey, who's counting? I am. I think I love the picture too. I'm not sure why the steps have pieces of bread in front of them as well, but I guess it works with this iteration. Um, they look a bit dejected, which they would, because Jesus was telling them some truly grave things that night. And now let's go to the next image, the one about the Passover lamb. Let's make an image of the Passover lamb just about to be slaughtered in the Jewish temple courtyard in 1st century AD Jerusalem. I had to be as specific as that so that it would get the right period. As the priest approaches it with the knife, the lamb stares off into the far distance behind, where on a hill Jesus is hanging crucified on a cross, flanked by 2 thieves on crosses. A crowd surrounds the crosses in the distance. The scene looks like nighttime, but a light shines on the cross in the distance. I probably could have prompted that a little better. For example, I said that Jesus is hanging on a cross flanked by 2 thieves on crosses, and ChatGPT took it a little too literally. Let's see what they presented for us. Boom. If you can look, you can see there are 2 crosses on one side and another cross on another side. There's probably going to be another set of 2 crosses. This is what it made. What do you think? I'd love to hear your comments in the comments, or read your comments. I mean, the goat, the sheep, the lamb doesn't have so much emotion here. And I think ChatGPT tried to censor what I put in, because instead of a knife, the priest is holding a bush of hyssop with blood. I feel that this was actually linked to the previous prompt I'd given for the door image, where I talked about a man placing blood on his lintel and post with hyssop, and because they are linked and we're in the same chat line on my ChatGPT platform, it's probably picked that from there. What do you think? I didn't really feel it captured the image well enough, so I asked it, make this a little more cartoony, with the lamb expressing more emotion. It should look sad, looking off at Jesus with longing. Here's what it brought back. Oh, it's a cute little lamb. Sorry, lamb. Well, we get emotion in the lamb, but the priest doesn't really look bothered by it. He looks indifferent to all that's happening. And Jesus on the cross, well, like I said, we have 2 crosses on both sides instead of 1 cross on each. This works in a sense for giving a mythical atmosphere. What do you think? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments. And time for the final image that I made on Christus Victor, of Jesus' victory over the works of darkness for our salvation. Let's see how ChatGPT would bring this. So I go, and now for the final in this series, are you ready? And it goes, yes, I'm ready. What's the final scene you'd like to illustrate, Gov? So I go, this is a bit of a metaphysical scene illustrating the concept of Christus Victor. Create a cinematic wide shot of an ashy wasteland in Hades. Jesus is in the foreground, standing victoriously with his foot on the head of a reclining, defeated serpentine humanoid foe, who is Satan. Behind Jesus, millions of hulking demons are on their knees, chained at the hands, in a canyon that goes back for miles. I tried to describe what I had created in my image. Let's see what ChatGPT will come up with. Boom! Okay, it made the devil a beast, which kind of works. So here we see Jesus, he's holding the cross, which typifies the fact that through his victory on the cross and what he did in his death and resurrection, he brought us victory over the devil. And we see the demons kneeling behind him. It's different in perspective from how mine was, but I think I got the image a bit. But I think I put a little further. This is the one I don't want you to miss. I asked, can I have a second variant? Feel free to be as creative as possible. Trust me, you have no idea what is about to come up. I bet you didn't see buff Jesus coming. Woof. But hey, my wife said Jesus was a carpenter. I mean, wow. This is quite amazing. Did you enjoy this as much as I did? So why did I do this? For me, when I create my artwork, no matter how long it takes me, 30 minutes, an hour, a couple of days, it's a journey for me. I think about the concepts I'm creating. I think about the characters, how they're feeling, what they are representing, what the story I'm trying to tell. Many times it's a journey for me, often a spiritual journey. Many times when I'm creating, I see myself as a partner with God because He is the creator and He gave me these gifts and I'm using it for His glory. With AI, I think the quick time frame we get in creating images from text to image, for example, we don't really get to have that journey, you know. Although on the other hand, I'm happy that not everyone that has the artistic skill, in quotes, is now able to create the images that they might have had in their minds for a while. So it provides an even ground for everyone in a sense. But I believe art still has its place. And I believe that no matter where you are on the scale of your art proficiency, practice, try one day. Have a cool afternoon, maybe on a Saturday, try sketching something out. It brings out your inner child, if there's such a thing. It brings out your creative side, and if you get the opportunity to practice with AI, have fun. I know there are more discussions about the ethics of AI, basically being fed from information from the artwork that human beings have made. And I believe that conversation will keep on going while we wonder, with AI, are artists taken out of the place? I think artists will always have a place. AI has its place, and while it takes up its own place, don't be surprised if we artists increase our bill. Just kidding. Thank you for watching thus far. What are your thoughts on the video? And are there other things you would like me to discuss in further videos? Please share them in the comments. And I think I can tell you this. Many of you have asked, I want to learn how to draw. What can we do? What can I do? I'm working on a plan of releasing tutorials on drawing and art for as many as are interested. If you're interested, let me know in the comments as well. Thank you for joining once again. Stay creative. God bless you.